So, hello and welcome everyone and all to BRL for round number 2 for obviously 2-2 tonight. Once again back on comms and, well, once again we are racing here, this time at the circuit based in Italy. Well, one of Ferrari's actual local home races, if not the actual local home race, Imola, of course. Technically, the track, I believe, is owned by the Ferrari team themselves, just like Red Bull own the Red Bull Ring, of what I'm aware. I believe Ferrari also own the other Italian circuit of Mugello. So, this is Ferrari, obviously, hunting ground for Salvi then in the Ferrari. Good evening to Jaytin, who has joined the chat, of course. And, well, Imola, obviously a very historic place for Formula One. Obviously, needless to say, the tragic death of Ayrton Senna, based back in 1994, 30 years ago, over 30 years ago now, 30 years ago and about, what, 3 months is it, or something like that, since Ayrton tragically lost his life in that race. And, well, for then Aston Martin, Nico is going to be the first driver to set a lap then here at Imola, and on then his way he goes into what is the first chicane, and, well, navigates it pretty cleanly. Looks a little bit wide on the exit, but kept it just about within the track limits. So here then is obviously Nico running up the hill, and then into, I believe that's not Tamburello, corner after Tamburello, and we'll get a track map up soon, because these corners do have cool names and they deserve to be called what they are. Anyway, Nico's first sector, and middle sector, looking pretty decent actually. 50.0 then in the middle. Let's see what he can do in the final sector, because this is the lap time they are all going to have to try and chase and beat, of course, as he heads through Ravazza 1 and 2. So out of Ravazza and then across the line, it's a 16.8. Then the benchmark for everyone else. Here then comes Deckley. Let's see if Deckley's on a better lap. Already San goes quicker with a 16.0, and Deckley only 2/10 behind with, I believe, a 16.2. So, there we go then. So, here is, well, actually, who's next? We'll go Joshi Wilco, who's rounding the final corners now, as we see Jaytin go into the 15, so 1 minute 15.6 now the time to beat, and Joshi Wilco closely followed with a 15.7, so 2 very good lap times for them two gentlemen then today. Orton is coming across the line, but looked a bit slow, I've got to be truthful, coming across the line, and that's not going to help him set a faster lap if he was aiming to do that. Currently did set a 31.7, so he's considerable distance off, a good 15 seconds at the moment. Let's see what his first sector is saying. You just never know. A little bit of a distraction there. Not sure if that was Hazard or Nico trying to get themselves out the way, but it was certainly one of the two, and that, I think, would have been a little bit of a distraction with the Aston Martin in the gravel. Anyway, down the hill for Orton. How is this lap coming along? To be fair, it's really probably not on the pace at the moment, and yeah, he's still a long way off, so not really improving. He isn't, Orton. So here's Baz Brains, and Baz Brains in Japan had a bit of a difficult race overall. but he did finish, I believe it was. I think he finished like 8th or something. I will go through the championship order. It's only been one race, so I'll only cover the top group at the moment. I'm not going to cover everyone. So right now it is Rosbu. Robsu in first place with the 25 points. Then it's Jayton second. Then it's Hazard in third and San fourth. Deckley fifth. Then we got Nico sixth and Chiakus is in. Chiaku is in then seventh. Those are your current drivers' standings. Current team standings. Aston Martin at the top. As Baz Brains goes on to provisional pole. So Aston Martin currently on the top with 34 points. Then Rebel with 25. Racing Bulls in third. Then it's McLaren in fourth. But they are technically, I would say, joint third because they've both got the same points with Racing Bulls at the moment. So those are your current standings as things currently sit. So lap then. For Hazard, he's invalidated. Here's Storms or Strooms. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, and I've commentated on him for quite some time. I should be doing a little bit better than that. Obviously, does race in ERL, does race also in PRL, but also racing more importantly here tonight in BRL. So he himself is certainly someone who I'm accustomed to watching, and certainly is a quick driver overall in the balance of play. Let's see if he can maybe challenge for pole tonight. Currently it's a 15.4, that current pole lap time. So into 49.8. So certainly going to be probably into the 115s, I reckon, here, as he skips through the final two Ravazzas. Out of the final corner then, and going to try and take the shortest run to the line, and moves the benchmark considerably forward into the 114.9s. However, it does have to be stressed that obviously, Baz Brain's lap was a little bit sooner, and same with Jayton and, obviously Joshi Wilco. So Jayton's on his second lap now as he goes through the first two corners, as he heads then towards the Villeneuve chicane through Villeneuve. A little bit of understeer it looked there, and it looks like I think he's backed out. Indeed he has, so he has chosen to abort that up. Probably weren't feeling entirely comfortable with the way it coming together it was. And I don't really blame him too much, because it did look like he had a little bit of a, seesawing movements at obviously the car. And you don't really want that in Formula 1. You want very, obviously, smooth and progressive inputs, not hacking or, seesawing, whatever you want to call it, at the wheel. Because you're doing that, you're losing lap time automatically. Now, Dr. Braden, a little bit wide there. Certainly very lucky to not invalidate. So for him, keeps the lap going, but he's about 3.4 seconds down. However, up on his time, not down. Making a few errors tonight on my speech. You'd almost think I've got, Parkinson's or whatever, I don't know. Anyway. Here comes Dr. Braden across the line. And goes 4 seconds quicker. 5 seconds, actually, almost quicker. Moves himself up into 10th for now. Here's CJ Drama. And he's invalidated his last lap. So he'll have to go at it again. Here's Chiaku. So currently 8th. It's actually quite close at the moment between, obviously, I'd say 2nd and, 8th at least right now. Bit of a gulf between 1st and 2nd there is. But here is Chiaku. And Jericho going to come across the line now. And is he going to improve his lap time? Yes, he is. Moves himself up into 7th ahead of Sam. But Sam has just begun his next lap. So we'll keep, obviously, an eye on him. Now, how is Jayton doing? Has he restarted his lap? I'm not entirely sure he has. Let's see if he restarts now. No, he's pulled back off into the pits. So he's going to certainly go again. Right, here's then Sam then. He's already 56 thousandths up through the first sector. Can he find more time in the middle sector? Which currently he is 8th. Was knocked down to 8th by Chiaku. Currently just outside of the top 5 and is going along very nicely here. Currently finding a very good chunk of time. Almost 3 tenths up now. So this will see him, I reckon, move up potentially 4 positions here if he keeps it up. However, he's just gone wide on the exit. And for him, that's invalidation. And he comes back off into the pits. Now, Hazard still hasn't set a lap time as of speaking. And he's just invalidated once again. Now we'll go to CGA Drama, who's on a lap here. Is he going to manage to get a lap time in? So far, still 2 drivers without a valid lap time as we currently speak. And that's the thing about this track. It is unforgiving. Track limits, you go slightly wide. Very easy to go wide due to the nature of the circuit and invalidate, as we've seen quite a few of. Also, it's very easy to just put a wheel on the grass and in the gravel, and you're probably into the barriers. And CJ Drama, did he get out of the way quickly enough there? Looked to be sound the racing line. Same with the, obviously, the Sauber of Alton, that would be. Just again, seem to be doodling on the racing line, which for Deckley will not be a help to, obviously, his momentum as he tries to put in, well, what could be a faster lap time, currently on a 15.8. I don't think he's backed out of it. I still think he's pushing on with the lap overall. So let's see if he can find more pace. He is now a 10th up in the middle sector and a big snap of oversteer. And unfortunately for Deckley, that is his lap over. Now, is Joshi Wilco on another lap? Well, it does look like he was pushing, but doesn't appear to be using any of his battery. Now, if he isn't using any of his battery, of course, is this just a warm-up, really? Is he trying to do to get a bit more heat into the tyres? However, I'm not entirely sure. Does he have enough fuel on board to do that? Currently 1.7 seconds down in the middle sector. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Let's see if Nico's improving here. So, Nico, I don't think is improving. I believe he's, well, currently on an out lap. So, Hazard finally has got a lap time on the board. Only a 17.0 though, so not anything spectacular with 3 minutes and 55 seconds to go. And the pressure will be ramping up on now, obviously, Hazard, with obviously the clock ticking down all the time. Because last week he had a good race. Okay, he didn't win, but he did have a solid race nonetheless, you'd have to say. Took home a podium. This week doesn't really look to be much of a threat at the moment. Seems to be in a bit of bother. And, well, I believe he's got the pace and got the capabilities. It's just whether or not he's able to extract it in the final run. So, Joshi Wilco is about a 10th up now. And he is improving. So, a 10th would probably see him jump up into 3rd place to get himself into the top 3. Let's see if that is the case. Just about goes quicker, 89 thousandths, but I'm not sure how much that lap time will stand up. Now, here is San, who's apparently 7 tenths up. If this is the case, this is going to see him fly up the order then here in qualifying. He's going to potentially go up many places. 7 tenths probably put him maybe even into P2, which I'm sure he'll be delighted for. Let's see if he does improve by 7 tenths. Almost 6 tenths and 86 hundredths of a second he improved by. So a very good improvement, and by 5 thousandths is ahead of Brasbrains, but I do think that probably will get beaten, that 115.4. So, but I think he can be safe to say probably going to start this race inside the top 3, given the lap times at the moment, unless obviously anyone else has got anything to say about it. Slavy is not improving. How about Drogon? Is he going to improve? By the looks of it, he's doing extra warm-up, so he's still trying to get heat into his tyres. Now, Storms has made a bit of a, well, brave and brazen call to not do another lap here by the looks of things. So that 14.9 is going to be the time that obviously Brasbrains or someone else has to beat here in qualifying to try and get themselves up the order. So let's see what then. Who should we go on first? We've got to go for Brasbrains, haven't we? Because he's the one that obviously might be chasing a pole position here. So here we go then for Brasbrains, down into the first chicane. Gets the car turned in nice and well. A little bit maybe too much curb for my liking, but looks like he certainly got away with it as he powers then through into the Villeneuve chicane. And there is a car off ahead of him, but is okay and won't be much of a distraction, and 3 thousandths up in the first sector. So not much of an improvement, but it's still a slight, slender improvement for the McLaren driver as he then heads then down the hill through the valleys. And as he'll then come back up out of the valley, can he find any more time in this middle sector, which, arguably probably going to be the most important middle sector, but no, he's 51 thousandths down. So even in the race for P2, the front row on the grid, it doesn't look like he's got much of an answer in response to San, who has done a quicker lap time, and I don't expect this lap to be any quicker now, considering he's low on the ERS and he peels off into the pits then there for good measure. Now, can Jayton do anything in terms of maybe try and steal a result here? Not sure what his middle sector was, but he's invalidated then. Deckley's not improving enough, as Hazard then, we'll see what his lap time is actually 1.1 seconds up, so is going to improve quite nicely, moves himself up into 4th. So that's a much better end result for Hazard. He's left it late, but in the end manages to get the lap in. Here comes Deckley to the line then. Deckley moves himself now back up into 4th. So it is a McLaren all second row, followed by Sturms and obviously San in 2nd and Brasbrains in 3rd with Deckley in 4th. Hazard takes, well, in the end, 5th. I'm pretty sure he'll be satisfied in the end with that result, ahead of Joshi Wilco, the Mercedes, and Jayton in 7th, followed by Dragon in then 9th. We'll go through the rest of the grid very shortly though. So here is the rest of the grid then. So we got Salvi in 9th, then Chiaku 10th, then CJ Drama in 11th, followed by Nico in 12th, then Dr. Braden is 13th, and Orton is 14th. So that is then the grid order for today's race. And we will head, I believe, into what is a 33 or 34 lap race overall. I'm pretty sure it's something like that. But yeah, it's about a 30-ish lap race, which we head into here at Imola. And in terms of strategy, well, a lot of probably strategies on this game are typically one-stop strategies. Of course, we'll have to see if there's any safety cars or virtual safety cars. Those certainly could play a factor. They did in the last race, actually. Hazard went long and got rewarded by a safety car, so certainly sometimes can play into your into your hands and into your cards like that, where Hazard certainly did. But of course, this track is a bit of a different track to Japan, obviously. I don't think tyre wear is as bad here. I think tyre wear is a little bit better than what it would have been in Japan for our drivers tonight. I'm not sure if there's any rain forecast. It does look a bit overcast, therefore rain certainly could be on the agenda. However, obviously only our drivers will know that ultimately, whether any rain is forecast. But here we go then. The lights are coming on. It's eyes to the lights then, and it is going to be foots to the floor. Does the pole sitter get away? Well, yes, but immediately there's a spinner, and it's Deckley who's been spun around at the start there. Not entirely sure whether there was any contact or not. I'd have to obviously watch that back after the race to see if there was, and probably so would you, but Deckley has spun it off the line and cost himself, well, all those positions and plus also 10 seconds as we go through the first sector then of the lap. San holds on to P2, followed by Basbrains in third, then Hazard in fourth, and Jayton fifth. Then Joshi Wilco is in sixth, pressurising the back of Hazard for that fourth place, with Jayton at the moment. And followed then by a CGA, Drama Salvi and Alton and Dr. Braden then just falling away already outside the DRS, but Chiaku is then in 11th, and then we got Dragon in 12th, and then we got Nico, who's also lost a bit of ground then also to the drivers behind. But yeah, so anyway, on the end of lap 1, it is going to be Strooms then coming around in first place, ahead of the Haas, ahead of the McLaren, and Jayton manages to get past then the Aston Martin of then Hazard. Hazard also feeling, I imagine, a little bit of pressure from also his rival, even though, having said that, comes a little bit back actually on the straight. However, just seemed to have lagged a little bit there, Hazard did, so not sure if that was actually lag or just lag from our end, not sure, but anyway, we'll see. But Joshi Wilco clearly also doing a little bit better in the corners. And I do wonder, is that why Hazard is struggling so much? We saw it in qualifying. Really struggled to get the lap in. And is he carrying a little bit less downforce compared to other drivers? And has he gone for a lower downforce setup, which obviously can benefit you. But if you struggle in the corners here, which there are plenty of them, you really can be in a spot of bother, and I just wonder, is that why we're seeing what we're seeing right now? Because Hazard's already 1.4 seconds now behind, make it 1.5, and here comes then Joshi Wilco going potentially around the outside into Ravazza. A little bit of contact between Salvi and the Mercedes of Joshi, and that is Salvi spun round. Salvi's lost control of his car, and DRS now enabled and active. Here comes Joshi Wilco with the DRS. Obviously, Hazard hasn't got any DRS as such to defend. And we've got a virtual safety car. Now, was that overtake done before that virtual safety car was deployed? I think it was. If it wasn't, we might see, obviously, Joshi hand back the position. But Chiaku is out then of the race, unfortunately, for himself. And he's our first retirement of the day then here in Tier 2. So it's only a virtual safety car then. And what that means, effectively, with it being a VSC, well, for our drivers, they have to respect, effectively, a delta time. And can't go any faster than that. If they do, they obviously will get a little bit of time to slow down, to bring it back within the delta. And if they don't, after that, be given a drive-through and a penalty, of course. So, for our race leader, he's built himself a 1.9 second lead here then. Obviously, Hazard will be a little bit relieved of the actually virtual safety car because it keeps him a little bit closer to the back of everyone. Should be stressed he is on hards, I believe. We'll get up the tyre graphic actually. So here we go then. Once again, and Hazard made a really good safety car restart there. As we see him go side by side with the Mercedes driver of Joshi. Now that could be another reason we're seeing Hazard struggle so much. Due to being on the hard tire versus everyone on the mediums. And, well, if it is that, then it's certainly causing him a big deficit because he almost getting overtaken into Tamburello. And even into, well, towards the valley, of course, he's also getting almost overtaken left, right and centre. You can see how wide he's going compared to the Mercedes. Then in a lot of these corners, it's like he's got absolutely no front end to his car, which shows how much he's struggling, which is also giving him poor purchase. But in a straight, he does seem to be able to sort of match the Mercedes, as the Mercedes then go around the outside into Ravazza. Obviously, will have the DRS as well. Then the Mercedes driver will. Unfortunately, Hazard won't, but Hazard will get a bit of a slipstream. Now, for CGA Drama, this is going to help, obviously, Hazard defend against CGA Drama, but in the end, CGA Drama with that DRS is too powerful for Hazard, who's just going backwards at the moment in this race, and unfortunately not progressing in the right direction to go forwards then at the moment. And now both of them two have cleared. Is Orton the next one coming for Hazard's skin here? Because, well, even though he's got, I believe it's a 3-second time penalty, he's the next one in line to try and make the pass on the Aston Martin. So it'd be very important for the Aston Martin to stay within about 7/10 here, or maybe a little bit even closer than that. Keep within the DRS range of the Williams driver if he can do so. Obviously, that's where the challenge awaits for Hazard. Going back to the battle for second and third. At the moment, only a 5/10 gap there then between these two drivers. Currently, San is trailing Bazbrains for what is second place. Storms isn't exactly pulling off clear into distance. He's only 1.4 seconds ahead, despite what was a fairly dominant qualifying session by, obviously, the Sauber driver. And managed to take pole by almost over half a second. In fact, probably was half a second in the end. So, yeah, very dominant pole, but not really translating into dominating this race. He's been kept within, at the moment, touching distance of the McLaren after 6 laps. So, for the, obviously, McLaren, that would be a little bit of encouraging signs and hope for, obviously, Bazbrains at the moment, who currently sits second. Deckley with 3 seconds, so we're certainly seeing plenty 3 seconds at the moment happening out there. Deckley race, unfortunately, not been successful today. It's gone from, well, bad to worse. The only good thing is he served his pit stop. So for Deckley, given he served his pit stop, doesn't necessarily have to do another pit stop. And when he does come out, due to the fact he's lost a little bit less time than that, he might be a little bit back in contention here for some points. I'm not really sure what the aim of Deckley's race is now, considering where he is. Obviously, I think one of his aims got to be at least to try and finish, but can he finish inside the top 10, maybe inside the top 8? Those are going to be the challenges, which I think he's got to go and try and set himself, as Joshi Wilco becomes the next driver to pick up a 3 seconds. And Joshi Wilco, in fact, off into the gravel. So more than just 3 seconds there for Joshi Wilco, as it looks like he's had a moment down at what is turn 1, turn 2 and 3. So, yeah, for Joshy Wilco, that's him down now to 10th. Obviously, that's not good for him. Now, obviously, we are now approaching lap 7. Do have yellow flags out there for, I think that's Slavy then, Slavy M at the back of the grid, who seems to be, not sure if he's going deliberately slow or what is the issue there, because he is got a yellow flag. Let's see if he does speed up again, because that's twice I've seen him sort of slow down. Yeah, nothing too wrong from what I see, but you know, sometimes I do get a little bit suspicious of that. If drivers potentially causing deliberate yellow flags, I'm not saying Slavy would, but I have seen it before, so it wouldn't be the first time I've seen someone try and use that initiative to obviously cause a deliberate safety car or, you know, virtual safety car or whatever. It does happen in the racing more often than you'd think. So for Jayton, currently 4th, Hazard now has moved himself up into 5th, so ahead of then Jayton's teammate, CJ Drama. Currently 3.7 seconds though, behind, that's the gap. Obviously Hazard's got to go and try and close down, but obviously Hazard has now picked up a penalty of his own. CJ Drama going off in the background there, almost, well, drifting through that section of track, which certainly won't be a help. But for CJ Drama, can he keep within the DRS of then Hazard? I think he can, and I think he is going to. As we continue to watch this battle for, right now, what is 5th and 6th unfold in front of us. CJ Drama just managed to keep it within DRS range now. Can he maybe try and go make a move back against Hazard? No, going to be too far back on this lap then here. So 5 tenths, too many tenths in the end. As Dr. Braden becomes the next driver with a 3 second. Pretty sure he already actually had 3 seconds. So far we've only got 3 drivers without then obviously 3 second penalties, and those 3 are, well, Stooms and then Bazbrains and obviously Nico, of all the drivers not to have 3 second penalties, which of course will affect the race time, bear in mind, at the end of the race, and there's still a very long way to go. We're not even 10 laps in, we're not even, in fact, halfway distance at the moment. So I think we've probably got to about 1/3, but yeah, we're not even halfway into the race, and some drivers, unfortunately for them, have already picked themselves up those crucial penalties. Lap 16 will be the halfway point, if my maths is any good, as we see Bazbrains get past then San and moves himself up into the top 2. So he'll be quite satisfied with that. The only good thing for, obviously, San, he knows drivers behind have got penalties, and you can see the penalties there. So Dr. Braden with 9, everyone else with 3 seconds for those that have penalties. At the moment, that is the current state of play on the penalty front. So Dr. Braden certainly, well, picking up about a penalty for every single lap he's done so far, you could say, with 9 seconds. About a second a lap worth of penalties. So lap then 10 of this race, and the battle for, well, second at the moment, raging on. As Dragons managed to get past Drama. Drama having a few laps where he's just struggling a little bit. But let's see whether San can get back past McLaren. Right now this is about that he's emerging for second place in the race, but right now Buzzbrain does seem to be a little bit more in control, given the fact also no penalties to his name. which certainly is going to help out the McLaren driver in the end. It should. A CJ Drama picks up another 3-second penalty, so that's 6 seconds for him. As Nico, I think, has maybe had a moment. Or is that CJ Drama? I think it's CJ Drama, actually. It is, and he's off into the gravel. He's managed to keep his car going, but then he's just silly trying to crash himself out of the race. And yeah, don't do that personally. If you want to retire, just press the retirement button on the track. If you know what I mean. Because in the end, it's just not really worth it for you, for us. It's just, yeah, not what I want to see personally on my stream or on this stream. As again, spun at the corner. So, CJ Drama, right now, the next driver who's in a bit of trouble as we head on to lap 12 of the race. Baz Brains back down to third behind San. As who's next to have spun? Someone has spun. I think it might have been Dragon, dare I say. Had a moment maybe. Because he's lost a little bit of ground to the back of Hazard. Pretty sure he was ahead of them. As Jayton's actually now slowly closing back onto the back of Hazard here. Hazard was pulling out a bit of a gap, especially on Jayton, but now, as the lap's gone on, seems like Jayton has just managed to claw back some time, and that obviously helps, Jayton a little bit. So we're on lap 12 of 32. As Dragon picks up a 3-second penalty. As we see now Storms into the pits for what should be his only stop of the race. And imagine this would be a set of hards going onto his car. So a bit of an early stop compared to everyone else. Certainly not letting himself be undercut at least. So he's protected himself at least from that. So he'll come back out in a good spot of clean air. In 9th place behind Nico and behind Joshy Wilco. But he's of course your race leader at the moment, so when he does re-emerge and when everyone else does pit stops, obviously they will come out behind. So for San, he is actually on hards, which I forgot to really mention. However, the mediums does seem to be doing good here. Now, what does obviously Baz Brains do? Because is Baz Brains in a fight with obviously, Strooms? I don't necessarily know. Does he react to Strooms? As we have a retirement of Slavi in the pits. So Slavi is out. So CJ Drama continues on. San then gets overtaken. So Baz Brains has chosen not to follow Storms' lead or Streams' lead here then on lap 14 of the race. So he's continuing on with San for now. And I think that's the right call, if you ask me. Because for obviously the battle for P2, effectively, whilst Baz Brains only's got no penalties and obviously San does, I just feel like if you can try and go a little bit longer in his stint, at least it gives a little bit less of a offset in terms of the tyres, if and when they do make a stop. If he can go all the way with him until the pit stops, I tell you what, that obviously would be beneficial for San here. So Nico is closing up quite rapidly onto the back, obviously, of then P6. He is going to be very soon, as we see then San and Baz Brains for the race lead, go side by side. In the end, San backs out. and get out-dragged down into Rivitza. So, will the McLaren come in? No, yes. Yes, he has. So, there we go. Baz Brains is into the pits, gets the car slowed down, and is now going to make his stop. Now, Storms has obviously picked up a 3-second penalty here, which is something to consider. Also, does have a little bit older tyres now, about 2 laps is the difference. So, it is advantage Baz Brains maybe in this race. We'll have to see how far Storms comes out ahead. So Storms is a long way actually ahead of them. That undercut has actually given Storms about an 8-second lead over his closest rival. So that's now the gap to the leader, effectively, 8 seconds than it is here. But Storms does have a bit of traffic to get through in, obviously, Joshy Wilco and Dr. Braden. Dr. Braden is the driver currently ahead of then Joshy Wilco, just about. Not the most easiest of tracks to make the overtake, but here goes then Storms anyway, going on the inside into the chicane. Then our race leader gets the move done straight away, not messing about then there, and takes the position away from then what is, well, fourth place, what was fourth place, and moves himself up into fourth. Next will be back to the podium for then the race leader, as he will have DRS as well to help him out, and that's going to also help him pull out a little bit of a gap then to obviously Baz Brains. Just gives him that edge with a little bit of DRS down there, that straight, a little bit of straight line speed. So Storms now about, well, 9 seconds clear it will be. It does have 3 seconds though to contend with. So San continues on, so does Hazard, so does Dr. Braden. All their tyres are 15 laps old. Now, they probably just came into the pit window, I would say. Maybe 1 or 2 more laps could be really where the pit window is. I'm not entirely sure. But I would have thought it'd be about lap 16 to lap, obviously, 18 roughly. As they continue on, going for the alternative strategy, going longer on that hard set of tyres. For Deckley, I'm not really sure where he can finish today, but if he can maybe try and get back up into 11th, I think that'd be a good result for Deckley here, given the fact he's right now 11th and 13 seconds off then the pace, but 17 seconds ahead of CGA Drama. When he comes back out, probably be about 10 seconds behind maybe, behind CGA. So San is being closed in on by Hazard. Hazard is closing that gap to San here. Obviously, Hazard did have a difficult first half of the race, but starting to come good for him. Obviously, the incidents have helped a little bit for Hazard. Certainly positionally, could be on the house for a podium, actually, if he can manage to keep it clean. What is the current penalties currently looking like? Let's have a quick look at those again. So it's still 3 seconds for most. We do have a few 9 seconds for Braden. We got 12 seconds for Dragon. Then we got 9 as well for Orton. I think that's gone 9. Got 6 for Deckley and 6 for then CJ Drama. Those are the current penalties as it currently sits. So still for Hazard, he isn't quite in the place to be in terms of picking up the pieces. He would need to hope San gets a 3 seconds or overtake him on the track at the moment if he wants that podium. But still, we go on to lap 18 of the race. Still, it is San leading the way, and San's gone a very long time on those tyres. And for Storms, he's actually almost made up an entire pit stop, it should be said, on the current race leaders. He is currently on his 5th lap of them tyres, and he's only 9.5 behind. So when they come out, they're going to almost be, what, 20 seconds behind or something like this? It's going to be a big gap for them to close in on. So for obviously San and for Hazard, they're going to certainly have to try and get back into their rhythms. So down into Ravitza 1 and 2. Hazard is closing in very rapidly. Now, does San come in or does San not? No, San choosing to stay out. Looked like he was maybe throwing the dummy there to Hazard a little bit with that zigzagging. I'm not sure that necessarily was his intention or not, but on they go then for a 19th lap of this race. So are they trying to get to softs? Is this their ambition? Because they're certainly starting to come maybe into the soft tyre territory. Maybe 1 or 2 more laps and they will be in the soft tyre territory, I would like to suggest. Currently the gap to the leader is 1.4 seconds between Hazard and San. So for Hazard, he's really closed that gap in on the race leader. Even though, I would say, it's probably a little bit too soon to go to softs from here. I personally wouldn't put on a set of softs until lap 25, if that was even an option. So you'd have to still do another 6 laps. And Storms, again, as I say, is rapidly closing in on them. He's only 8.4 seconds off the race lead. Make it 8 seconds. So, again, it is going to be about a 20-second lead by the time all said and done. And again, San just not coming in. Again, looked like he's maybe trying to throw the dummy there to Hazard. Because he certainly jolted a little bit to the right of the pit lane apron. And, yeah, that to me suggests he's trying to throw a little bit of a dummy to Hazard. Whether or not Hazard would notice that, I'm not entirely sure you would. But certainly there is something going on there for San. Because that's twice I've seen that action by him. There's a gap now 1.1. But what is the gap going to be at the end of this lap for Storms? I would like to know. Because he's 7.3. Making it now 7.2. He's going to be certainly very, very close to being within probably about 5 seconds at the end of this lap, which is absolutely insane. He's got about himself also a 10-second gap back to Bazbrains. Bazbrains is about 16 seconds behind this group. Feel Bazbrains should be probably a little bit closer. Certainly the win for maybe Bazbrains isn't on the table, but let's see. So down into Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2. Hazard closer than ever to the back of the Haas. And this is going to then be for the race lead. And this is why they're staying out. Okay, I've just got it now. So they're staying out due to the rain, which has, just by the looks of it, started raining here. Hazard takes the lead at what could be a critical time in this race. So the 2 drivers in front, it all makes sense why they're going so long into this race. They're trying to get these hards to the crossover point by the looks of it. But the only thing is, does it rain hard enough for there to be a crossover point? And also, are you going to be in the lead by that time the crossover point comes? Because, of course, for Storms, he is absolutely rapidly gaining and gaining. He's now 5 seconds then to the leader. Hazard has managed to get past. Obviously, Storms is going to have to overtake on track still then. So this race has been flipped on its head. And certainly has become a little bit more of an interesting race because anything can happen really here with the rain coming down. But San is in. So San is in. Now surely it's too soon for the intermediate tyre, you'd have to say. And I think that's a reasonable assessment of the race. Surely it's a lap or two too soon. But he is going to try and stick on those inters and see what they've got to give. And yeah, surely that's a lap too soon. But the rain is coming down. And it is coming down thick and fast. So who knows? Maybe it is the right call. Even though my hunch feeling it's still very much dry territory, and we're probably still a good lap or two away from the intermediate tyre. But having said that, a few others are choosing to go onto the inters now and stick on that intermediate tyre. As Hazard's off the track and Hazard's going to be overtaken. There we go, the overtake for the race lead. Storms claims back first place as the track is getting, well, treacherous by the looks of it for our drivers. Obviously, Hazard's made a mistake. And Deckley's retired. And it's a safety car. There we go. We got a full course caution. Deckley has retired out of this race, and it's a full course caution then. So, in comes Storms, in comes Hazard. Everyone will come in. Now, for Bazbrains, this is perfect timing, actually, because he's the only driver at the moment, plus, obviously, Nico, without any sort of penalty. And, oh, it's perfect timing because he will come out probably, I'm going to say, back into third place in this race. I think for San, he might just get ahead, actually. No, he is. So he's going to come out still in fourth. It's still a very good position for him. And for, obviously, Bazbrains, he is in a really, really good position. Now, interestingly, Storms has only put on mediums. Now, surely that's an error. Surely that can only be a racing error. And so has Bazbrains put on mediums. And same with Jayton. So these drivers are either making strategic errors with the rain coming down, or they know something. Again, I don't. Now, to me, it does look pretty heavy, that rain. And if we're under safety car, this track is going to get soaked. So, yeah, this is really good news for Sam. Really good news for Hazard. Not so good news for Bazbrains or Jayton. Have I missed something? Like, I really don't know. Like, this could all depend on the weather or whatever. But, yeah, with the rain coming down, why haven't they gone on to mediums? Mediums? Why haven't they gone on to intermediates? Like, surely the intermediate would have been the right call. Surely the intermediate is the only call you can make in these conditions, especially with a safety car. Now they're going to have to pit again. Good news is they're probably going to still come out, well, they're going to come out in 10th, I think. In fact, might be a little bit less. For Hazard, for them all, if they can get the stop now, I think they might just be able to get out ahead of CJ Drama, who right now 37 seconds back. So it's going to be very tight. Going to be very, very tight on the exit for some of them, but they're continuing on. I am still very confused as Hazard. Oh, that looked a bit dangerous. Did Hazard try and come into the pits? Is anyone coming into the pits? None of the medium runners are actually making pit stops, as Hazard's now down to fourth. So I'm not sure what's the game plan here. FCL Dragons pitted for mediums. Okay. Like, what's really going on in this race? Like, yeah, I don't know. I kind of give up, as we're seeing mediums go, well, not the inters. So, have the guys on inters made the wrong call? I do wonder that now. Because, like, we've got, as you can see, 5 drivers on mediums. We've got 6 drivers on inters. Effectively, it's a 50-50 split. Effectively, it's the same debate as Brexit. Do you go softs? Do you go... do you go mediums? Do you go inters? Let's call the inters the Brexiteers, and let's call obviously, the medium runners the Remainers, effectively. Sorry for making it a little bit political, but that's effectively the situation right now, in terms of everything. So, Jayton says there's only 10 minutes of this rain. Slicks are better. So, according to Jayton, well, he's my inside information because he's in the race. He believes then mediums are the better tyre to be on. That's why they've gone for the tyres that they've gone for. But how much pain and suffering are they going to take? I do question this bravery because, okay, it might be 10 minutes of obviously these wet conditions, but how much pain are they actually going to take here in this race? Like, with the track surely getting wetter and wetter every single lap they go round on the safety car. And we've still not even got safety car in this lap. As Joshi Wilco puts on now a set of the softs, so it's now become 6.5 then in terms of the slick tyre. As Orton now 10-second penalty. Now that's going to certainly hurt his race if that's to be served and can't get removed at the end of the race. So, what we're going to find out, and looking off track, that looks very wet. Even looking at this on off-board camera, I really think, okay, it's 10 minutes of rain or whatever the computer says, but I really feel this is the wrong strategy call for the slicks. And you know what? I think San and Hazard, and in fact everyone on the intermediate tyre, could be in for a very good result then here, as we're about to go racing again. We are going to find out then what's going to happen, as it is going to be Storms to then restart this race. Half the grid on, well, on slicks, half the grid on inters. What's going to be the conclusion? Are the inters going to be better, or is mediums somehow magically going to find the grip? Surely not in these conditions. Let's go, let's see, and we can already see Storms struggling out the final corner too much, and that just really tells me everything I need to know, and he's immediately into the pits then for what will be a set of the inters, and yet certainly a strategic mistake. So there we go then. Can then Baz Brains hold on? He's actually got away okay and leading actually into the first corner, unlike obviously Storms, but you can see is causing chaos between them all. Storms has retired from the race, and obviously Baz Brains is all over the place. So are all the other intermediate runners. Soft runners, and the intermediates are eating everyone up for, well, eating everyone up. So the medium runners are going to have to come into the pits. Sorry, Jayton, but no, the slicks are not the better tyre today. The slicks, well, not in these conditions at least. But Hazard has taken the race lead here then for Aston Martin. Nico is also up into 4th. Could he be in with a shout of victory? He's off the track though, and that's a 3-second penalty, which might just spoil his chances of victory. But he's still in a great position here. Certainly a top 5 easily on the cards, so long he keeps it on the road. And that's all he's got to do. Doesn't have to be too greedy or too aggressive. And Nico's in a really, really good position to capitalise then off this. Obviously, Alton as well. That 10 seconds in the end may not feel like anything. He still might try and get it removed. I'm not entirely sure if he does or doesn't. But that 10 seconds, even though it is 19 seconds actually. So he's going to have to be quick. Having said that, the drivers behind are all going to have to take, well, either penalties or pain. And it's really down to them. However, it does seem to be lightening down the rain now, which could favour, again, the slick compound tyre. Which, if it does, then we could see a resurgence here late on in this race. But can they close down a 13-second gap? That would be a very big ask indeed. Dr. Braden currently 2nd. Nico up into 3rd place. Could this be a Aston Martin 1 and 2 certainly looks like it's on the cards here for the drivers. And Dr. Braden, I think he's got a lot of penalties. So Dr. Braden's got obviously 12 seconds of penalties, which for Dr. Braden, obviously he's going to cost himself a lot of time at the end with that 12 seconds. He's going to probably be put down at least to 4th here. And Nico finding the grip. Come on, Nico. Let's go. Let's go, Nico. And Nico, is he going to go down the inside? No, not quite. Decides just to wait a little bit longer. But can he get a good exit off the final corner off Ravazza 2? And here goes then Nico in the Aston Martin. Can he get the move done on Braden? Braden certainly is going to lose out here, and he has lost out. Braden down into 3rd. It is Nico up into 2nd, and where is Orton going? He's off the track, losing time and position, and also San is off the track, so San is in trouble there. So that's San and Orton certainly out of the equation, certainly now Orton because he's spun again. So Nico is going to finish on the podium here. I cannot believe what I'm saying. It's going to be a Haas 1-2. We are in for an awesome finish to the end of this race. In the end, it's going to be a bit anticlimactic considering there aren't going to be many battles exactly. But what a crazy end to this race. Bazbrains finds himself back up into 5th place here then. And good on Bazbrains. So, Orton and Jayton, well, Jayton up now into 5th. And you know what? I don't think Jayton's going to think twice about taking 5th away at least in this race. If the 2 drivers behind can't hold on to 5th. So for Orton, you know, might not even finish. Might not even finish in the top 8 or top 9. In fact, Orton could be in a real spot above up. Certainly got a lot of penalties, and who to know, maybe more even coming his way. I'm not exactly sure what happened at turn 1, but something certainly happened between San and Orton at turn number 1. Certainly cost San a lot of time to the top 3, top 4. So CJ Drama picks up another 3 seconds now for Nico. Once again, still doing good. So the top 3, I'm pretty sure, are settled. So it is going to be Hazard, Nico, and then Braden. It's just a question, where do the rest finish? Right now, what's the next best battle to be watching? I'm not entirely sure there is one. Maybe the battle for 5th and 6th. But no, even then, that's got too many penalties for my liking, really. I think really the battle for 2nd and 3rd is the best battle, but right now does look like Nico is coming out on top of this battle. So Nico is doing an excellent job, and it is, I'm not sure if it's going to be his first podium in BRL, but it's going to be his first podium of this season, and we're on track for a Aston Martin 1-2. This is a brilliant way for Aston Martin to start their season, of course, for the Aston Martin team, as rain now does die down, as we can see very visibly and clearly. Get lighter. But for the Aston Martin team, they are going to extend their championship points all. They're going to take a maximum point score of then pretty much, what is it, 48 points, 47 points? Who's got fastest lap? Storms does. So Storm's got fastest lap at the moment, but he is out the race. And as the conditions get a little bit drier, in fact, once again, Nico really coming alive. Nico is doing a fantastic job. Are we going to see a Nico victory then here? Obviously, the one thing though the 2 Aston Martins will want to do, or not do, is come together. Obviously, that's the one and only thing for these Aston Martin 2 drivers they do not want to do. They want to take home this maximum 47 points, what right now they're getting, and add to what they've already got currently 34 points. They're going to almost be already on 100 points after 2 rounds. And for sure, probably going to be a lot better off in the Constructors' Championship. Also, a chance for Hazard maybe to go into the lead of the drivers as well after this race. He is currently sat third. Obviously, Jayton is currently second, but Jayton is down in fifth as well. For obviously, Robsu is currently leading the way, but he's obviously not here tonight, missing out. For obviously Braden doing a good job actually for Red Bull. Let's not discount Red Bull either. But yeah, Nico really getting closer. So for Nico, he is going to have maybe one opportunity at attack. Or does Hazard let his teammate through to take a win here in BRL? I know, obviously, I'm not really for that sort of stuff, letting your teammates through. Not really for what happened, you know, with Lando on Sunday. But nonetheless, up to Hazard in the end. Does he let his teammate have a win? Or can Hazard just get the win anyway? Does look like he's got a little bit more confidence. Is DRS enabled? If it is, this is going to be a very key and crucial thing. And it is enabled, so Nico is going to have the DRS. And here goes Nico on the final lap. Is going to take the lead of the Grand Prix in Imola. And maybe his race win. Nico is on then course to win this Grand Prix for Aston Martin in a 1-2. The American driver, I believe he's American at least. He uses the American flag. So the American driver is going to win in the Italian city of Bologna. I think it's Bologna or somewhere. But yeah, or near Bologna. But yeah, nonetheless, he's going to win the Italian Grand Prix, the Imola Grand Prix. And he has actually been a fantastic driver today, Nico. Didn't get that 3 seconds until the very late stages of the race. Unlike others who got it a lot sooner and a lot further before him. And went onto the right tyre at the right time, like obviously others did. And actually, when the conditions have changed, he's just adapted fantastically to the conditions, which is something really, really tricky to do. But here then comes Nico around the final corner to lead home a Aston Martin 1 and 2. Hazard surely isn't going to take it off him at the line. No, he's not. Hazard comes home second. Nico comes home in first place, takes the victory for then Aston Martin. Braden takes home the final podium spot. San takes home the final podium spot. Then it's going to be Braden in fourth. Jayton is going to be fifth. Orton, I'm not sure where he's going to finish. We are going to have to wait for, obviously, his penalties to be applied. So Dragon comes home sixth. Bazbrains, does he beat Orton? Yes, he does. And he beats Dragon. So Dragon now down to seventh. Bazbrains up into sixth. So in the end, not a bad end result there for Bazbrains. Should be disappointed though. Joshi Wilco ninth. And I believe it was the... not sure what car was behind him. But I believe there was another driver behind him. But Nico, driver of the day according to the game. And you know what? I'm going to say driver of the day also in my commentary sort of, what you call it, you know, opinion. Because he does deserve that driver of the day, actually. The game given him it. And I believe, obviously, you guys should vote for him too. So, yeah. Brilliant, brilliant drive by Nico to take the victory for Aston Martin. And is the first Aston Martin winner of the season. And helps his team move clear in the constructors' standings over Red Bull, and of course that certainly be very tasty champagne for two Aston Martin drivers in the end. So I'll go through the race result then. So the race result is Nico first, Hazard second, San in third. Then it's Dr. Braden in fourth, just missing out on the podium. Then it is Jayton 5th and Bazbrains in 6th, followed by Dragon in 7th. Alton 8th, then it Joshi Wilco in 9th, and then it is CGA Drama in the end finishing down in 10th. Outside the top 10, and with DNFs, we have Storms, then Deckley, Salvi, then it's Chiaku in 14th. However, Storms did get the fastest lap with a 17.509. And that is then your BRL race Tier 2. I hope you've enjoyed it then. And I guess see you all next week for what will be round number 3. So see you all then for round 3. I've been F1ology. Hope you enjoyed BRL. Please subscribe, leave a like, and share, obviously, or whatever. And see you all next week for another round of BRL.